The first top 10 trending voting results of the year, starting off with cleansers. I always like to separate cleansers in a few different voting categories. This week's list is on gel or foaming cleansers, so typically what I'd associate with a second cleanse or maybe like a morning cleanse. Voting results come from my Instagram page at Sam by the Counter. Hopefully if my YouTube account grows a little bit more, I'll be able to start including votes from here, because I'd love to see if there's a difference between Instagram preferences and YouTube preferences. I have a handful of the cleansers that are on this list in my own rotation, so where possible I'll include some texture shots just so you can see. Anyway, let's get straight into the list. Starting off with number 10, it's the Haru Haru Black Rice Moisture 5.5 Soft Cleansing Gel. This cleanser I haven't tried, but it seems to be quite rich in glycerin and it has a really good price point, so I can see why it would be popular. I do, however, think that marketing the pH of a cleanser, in this case 5.5, is maybe a little bit irrelevant these days. It's super rare to find like a highly alkaline product that would be that bad for your skin, but nevertheless it's nice to know that it's well balanced. Because I haven't tried it, I really can't offer any feedback, but I'd love to hear in the comments if you've used it and why you love it. Number 9 is the Jordan Samuel Skin, the Matinee Gel Cleanser. This is a gel cleanser that feels quite gentle on the skin, and it's bolstered with a little bit of salicylic acid as well. I would say it probably leans towards oilier and congestion-prone skin types, but I also find it to be hydrating enough where I can't see why it wouldn't be suitable across skin types. I'm pretty sure Jordan Samuel Skin describes this as being a non-foaming cleanser. Number 8 is a tied vote, and funnily enough, they're almost identical, at least in my opinion. The first one is Dr. Sam Bunting Flawless Cleanser, and this has quite a thick jelly texture that spreads really beautifully. I actually relied on this cleanser quite a lot when I was starting on tretinoin because it offers this like really balancing, refreshed, clean skin feeling without being like overly drying. Dr. Sam does believe in quite a thorough cleanse. I think her suggestion is that you should cleanse for 60 seconds. I don't think it's the 60-second rule can function or work with other cleanser textures, but because this is quite a thick, almost dense gel, you get a lot of playtime on the skin. And because of that level of playtime, I actually think a cleanser like this functions really well as a single cleanse, and it's definitely able to remove my mineral SPF very easily. I'm not sure it would work that well for heavier makeup, but for general day-to-day stuff, I think it works really well. And as I said, this is the tied vote, so the next one in position 8 is Geek and Gorgeous Jelly Joker. Basically everything I said about Dr. Sam's cleanser applies here too. They're really quite similar that I struggle to tell them apart. They're both non-foaming, they both offer a thorough cleanse. I guess I would just say that in both cases, if you prefer the feeling of like a foaming or lathery action, you don't really get that. This sort of stays a gel until it rinses away. I kind of suspect that people with super dry skin types maybe won't enjoy this type of cleanser so much, but everyone else should be fine. Number 7 is the Naturium Niacinamide Cleansing Gelee 3%. I'm a big fan of Naturium and I've used probably 1 or 2 full-size bottles of this cleanser, and I found it completely fine. I just wouldn't say that it's like a favorite. This type of like loose jiggly gel texture just isn't my preferred cleanser texture. It's really not as luxurious feeling as I think we can achieve as in the skincare industry. But I do think this is one of Naturium's more popular products, so it's just that kind of easy to use, just quick, and ultimately quite an effective cleanser. So I see why people would gravitate towards it. It has a good price point, lots of volume in the container, and as the name suggests, it contains 3% niacinamide. Number 6 is the Experiment Plasma Wash. I haven't tried this one, but I absolutely love the packaging, and I think Experiment makes really high quality products across the board. I would love to try it eventually. My only concern is that Experiment says this has moisture depositing properties, and moisture depositing is usually just another word for leaving behind a film. I don't mind a film if it's barely perceptible, and that's definitely not like a preferred skin feel. So yeah, if it's too filmy, I'm not sure that I'd enjoy it as a day-to-day cleanser. But this is another one that if you've tried, I'd love to get your feedback on it. Number 5 is the Is Clinical Cleansing Complex, or is it IS Clinical? I never know. This is quite a cult favorite product, and I think it's fairly beloved, especially in like professional settings. I haven't used it in a couple of years, so forgive me if my memory is a little bit hazy. I just remember it being quite fluid and like a runny gel texture that develops into a really like classic style lather. This was totally fine to use. I guess I just never found it special enough to keep investing in it. It is quite a high price point for a general gel cleanser, and I would say maybe it stood out a little bit more in the market back when cleansers were a little bit more aggressive, but I think nearly all of them these days lean hydrating, so something like this that is well designed is probably just a little bit too far on the pricey end to make it special these days. Number 4 is the Bioderma Sensibio Gel Moussant. I think Sensibio just overall is a great product range that's available in pharmacies across the world. This cleanser is super great. Again, it's just one of those classic gel textures with a classic lather, but I find that it cleanses really well while still maintaining hydration in the skin. No filmy feeling, and I think if you spot it on sale especially, it's a no-brainer to try. Number 3 is also a Tide vote, starting with the Go-To Juicy Gel. Another cleanser with that loose jiggly gel texture. It feels quite gentle and has a light lather on the skin. To me, this has quite a fairly strong cucumber-like scent and reminds me of the fresh soy cleanser. Like the Naturium cleansing Gelee, I also used up a full bottle of the Go-To Juicy Gel. It just wasn't memorable enough for me to keep repurchasing it. Completely fine though. And also number 3 is Skin Rocks the Gel Cleanser. I would actually consider this more of an oil cleanser. So although it looks like a gel when you dispense it, it's going to be more like the Naturium Camellia Cleansing Oil or even like Jordan Samuel Aftershave Cleanser. So I guess when I was starting this vote or running this vote, I didn't really expect to see this type of cleanser land on the list. But since Skin Rocks have named it a gel, I guess it makes sense that people would vote for it within this context. I haven't personally used the Skin Rocks gel cleanser. Often these types of, I think they're often known as D-phase cleansers, they are quite filmy and quite oily on the skin. So I kind of think more dry skin types would have a preference towards it. And yeah, I'm not sure if you were congestion prone that you would love using this type of cleanser regularly, unless it was more so for a first cleanse. Number 2 is the Dieux Skin Baptism Cleanser, and a super cool feature of this is that Dieux have created a fragrance-free option and also a fragranced option. The fragrance-free one just has a little bit of a mild coconut-like scent, probably from the surfactants I would assume, while the fragrance one is noticeably sort of fresh, fruity. I actually love this cleanser so much, it's become a huge personal favorite, and really no surprise, Dieux Skin is one of my favorite brands. I think they just do product design so well, and they take fairly common skincare products but just refine them that little bit extra, so little imperfections that I would see in other products, Dieux are able to solve that. It's like they just bring a level of attention to detail that I think is maybe missing from many other brands. This cleanser has a slightly thicker gel texture. It's not as thick as Dr. Sam's or Jolly Joker, sort of in the middle there, but definitely not fluid. So it also gives quite a lot of playtime on the skin. The nice thing about this cleanser is that it then also develops into a fairly satisfying lather, and it rinses away really cleanly and just makes my skin feel hydrated and soft. And although first impressions of this cleanser are probably quite straightforward, it's not necessarily groundbreaking upon first use, I think it's the type of cleanser that you didn't inadvertently start reaching for, because it just works and performs that little bit better than everything else. The small little improvements in the details of what make Dieux as good as they are. And finally, the number 1 cleanser is Prequel Gleanser. I've spoken about Gleanser quite a lot on both my YouTube channel and also on Instagram, and it has become quite a big social media favorite and has exploded even more ever since Prequel started to become available in Target in the US. I really do hope they're able to launch in an international market soon, because I feel like people are starting to get quite frustrated with the limited availability. When Gleanser first came out, it was super unique. The high glycerin content really wasn't that common. I don't recall seeing it anywhere else except for maybe in a Naturium body wash. It has such a high glycerin content. Because of that, I was very smitten with this cleanser to start with. I still think it's a great option, but as I used it more consistently and the veil of newness evaporated, I did begin to notice that its hydrating effect was feeling a little bit filmy, so I ended up preferring it really as a body wash. I've mentioned before that I absolutely would still happily use Gleanser, especially I've had it in my shower before, and when I've just wanted a quick cleanse, it still worked out really well. So I enjoy this cleanser. It's just, yeah, not quite as much as maybe other cleansers that are a little bit more like face focused. As I've said like a million times in this video, I just tend to prefer cleansers these days that have a little bit more body to them. Gleanser is also quite runny and even a little bit stringy in its texture. But with Gleanser, I think it would benefit people who are severely dehydrated, maybe if you have dry skin but still want like a lathering experience. And this would still be a good option for something to maintain and restore hydration in the skin. That's it for this first list of 2025. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.